Welcome, everybody, to In Other Worlds. I am your host, Jessica. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We have the amazing Timothy McGowan. Timothy, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for
Do
having
you,
me on.
you prefer Tim or Timothy?
Tim is fine. Timothy
Tim
is
is good?
just sounds better author-wise, more official.
Right on. All right. Tim it is. I'm just going to dive right in. You started writing books in what, 2020?
So my first one came out in 2020,
And
which was Eldritch Knight.
yeah. And you just finished book 18?
28.
28. Okay. I was way
28.
off. And I was going to say 18 is very impressive. 28 is even more so in 5 years. That's a lot of books.
Yeah, a lot of it was actually done in the last 3 years. I put my first book out in 2020, and then I kind of took a hiatus because I was also a programmer, so it required a lot of mental power for me to stay focused, and I didn't find as much time to write. Not that I'm like tooting my horn more. I'm like, I did it in 3 years, not 5.
you started in 2020 and then you took a hiatus and you still
then I took a break.
Wrote 28 books. That is insane. I can't even imagine. That's a lot.
No, it's just a daily clink clank at the mines. You just get a little bit at a time.
How do you keep yourself motivated to write that much?
Well, motivation is fickle, comes and it goes. It's funny. I'm pretty analytical when it comes to tracking things. Like I can look here and I have it pulled up all the way back to December 2022, and I can look at every single day and how much writing I got done on that day. So I can tell you that I had good months and I had bad months, but the one thing that I did was I kept going. So even when I had and I tend to do this, I kind of semi-burn myself out. I'll have months where I go like months or 2 months, 3 months that I do really, really good and I get a lot of words down. And then I'll have 3 months where I'm just like, I got 25,000 words, and that's usually what I get in a week. Dang it. So really what makes it work is just perseverance, just pushing through, even through the hard times where it doesn't feel like the writing's coming and everything's difficult. Just kind of pushing through is what's done it for me.
Well, you're crushing it at that. That's very impressive. So your most recent published book, I guess your most recent published series, Dragonstone Academy. I have started book 1, but have not finished it. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I look forward to books 2 through 4. Is it only going to be 4 books, or is it going to be more than that?
Yeah, 4 books.
4 books.
Oh yeah, I contracted out with Railguard Publishing to do 4 books on it, and I think I nailed it pretty well in 4 books. There's always room for more. Like, for instance, with Path of the Titans, I get it all the time where people are like, I want more. And so luckily for that series, I can go back to it because it's not a publisher book, so I can easily add to it. So I'll probably go back and add a few books to that series here in the next couple of years. But
I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Right.
People wanting more of the story.
Yeah, so no, it's something I appreciate.
Yeah, give us a quick rundown of Dragonstone Academy.
Yeah, so it's kind of your basic hero's journey story, right? You start off with this kind of like farm boy who stumbles into something bigger than himself, and destiny kind of takes over, and he's thrown into this new world where there's magic and there's these powerful beings and there's destiny, and he doesn't really know what to do at first. It's pretty natural and progression for a lot of my stories, but he's in a place where he wants to do good, and he's got, a noble heart. And I wanted to do my version of a academy story where there were dragon riders and big epic magic. And so that's what we got with Dragonstone Academy.
I guess I'm about a third of the way through the first book. I'm sad that the other ones are not in print, that they're only going to be Kindle and audiobook.
I need to poke Railguard Publishing because I feel like if I poke them enough, they'll get them to come out in paperback.
I mean, I will poke them as well because I want them in print.
I had to do a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to getting it formatted and stuff, which is why I've been hesitant to be like, hey, let's get the next ones done, because that means work for me.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty lazy guy in general. I like to do what I like to do.
Tell.
Yeah. Well, that's because it's writing, right? So I love to write. And so I love to do the things I like to do. But then when it comes to the things that I don't like to do, I'm like,
I feel like a lot of us are that way.
Yeah. You just got to find that thing you really like to do and try to get paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So with this book, it's a little bit different than your previous books that I've read. at least as far as the system goes. So this one is a card-based magic system.
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that when I was going through the spiel of the...
No, that's okay.
Also, a big play and like a big thing of the story is it's card based.
Yeah.
It's also my take on what I think a cool card magic system would be, where it's a little more Magic the Gathering meets like magical skills, kind of an in between the two. And I'm trying to remember some of the specifics. I put away all the stuff when I finished it, but while doing it, I had the deck that he used and the different variations of it. It's because I was actually shuffling and drawing out cards.
That is pretty cool.
So it was like, I wasn't like, I was like, oh, it'd be great is if this ability came up right now. It was like shuffle and deal. And I'm like, hey, heart of the cards, let's go.
You actually left it to chance. I actually really like that. That's a really neat way to approach that.
So when you get to a part in the story and it feels like, oh my gosh, he just got that card and it's going to work out great. Total chance. Like I didn't bend the rules at all. The entire time I used it, I made sure that I was just shuffling and dealing.
That is really cool. I like that you did that. It leads to a more organic and real kind of story progression.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun. And it's fun for me too. Kind of adds a little different aspect to the writing.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it also kind of at times can back you into a corner because you pull the wrong card and you're like, shit, what am I supposed to do now?
Right, exactly. And those are the times where I sit there and I stare at the screen and I'm like, okay, he's got to have something. There is something that's going to get him out of this.
Him dying.
Right, like how do we get out of this alive and not seem like it's all like hand wavy where it's too much?
That is really, really cool. What do you think the hardest part was of writing out a card-based system?
The cards?
Because you don't see those. Most books don't go that route. I mean, there's a few, but the card-based,
but having a whole deck where you're like, that's what was tricky. Is you want to, and I think I didn't do as well as I could have, but I tried to make it to where he was getting, new cards and I was adding to the deck and I was trying different strategies. And it just, the hardest part was the cards because I wanted to keep it fresh and I had to come up with new cards. I had to come up with other people's cards that he's playing and they had to have decks. They had to have strategies. They had to have how they played. And I couldn't just hand wavy it all away. I had to think about what are their cards? Like at least what are their main cards? What are they pooling? And I could have went even farther where I was making every single deck and drawing vice versa, which I did for like 1 or 2 battles. And I was like, this is too much. I gotta...
I was going to ask if you also made decks and drew for all of the other ones.
I tried,
but I could imagine that would get to be...
It became too tedious.
Excessive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Because everybody has... I mean, even the main cast where he's gathering his squires, once you get to that point in the book, each one of them have decks that have strategies and cards. And it's just like, oh. Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, I'm glad I'm done with it. And it was fun. And I enjoyed it, but it wasn't easy, and I could have done better. I'm pretty sure, but man, doing the cards and like trying to get it all figured out, oof.
Yeah, that seems like tedious. It would have been a lot. What has been the most surprising feedback that you've gotten about this series so far? Is there any characters that you thought everyone was going to love and it just wasn't as well received, or did you like write any characters in and you were like, oh man, everyone's going to hate this guy. I can't wait to put him in here. And people were like, he's great.
No, I can't think of anything specific. And I just pulled up some of the reviews to see if there was anything. I did get a few people that were saying, and I tend to do this, I'll introduce a really epic character at the start and then I'll just kill him off. And I've gotten people that were like, oh, I was really excited to hear more about this guy. I forget his name. Was
Argon? It's
okay.
either Argos or Argon.
So many names, and when I start on a different project, I just start cataloging them away, and it's like takes me a while to get it back. And even then, I'll be like, I think I'm using the right name. But yes, things like that, like characters that I'll kill off or I'll have for a little bit of time, and I'll build them up. And it was always part of the plan that something was going to happen, and then it happens and they're like, oh, I really wish this character had been carried on to the next. And it's like, well, it's too late.
Oops.
He's dead.
Can't take it back now.
She is dead.
Yeah, it was he died right off the bat. Like that was
he was there to give you a taste of the epicness that will happen, but also that it's a world that people are dying, and it's not a I'm the hero and I'm gonna win all the time. It's you're going to go into battle, people are going to fall. And I wanted to make sure I started that tone off.
Yeah, I was very excited to read who he chose for his first squire, and I really hope that he's okay. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. His first squire has to stay with him for all 4 books. That's just the way it's got to
I
be.
say nothing. Give no hints.
What do you think was your favorite part of writing this series?
My favorite part probably had to be and it was the most tedious part. It was just the cards.
The cards?
I really loved, and I say that, but also the dragon writing part was really fun for me too. Because I love dragons, so I'm like, to get a chance to finally write a story where I've got dragons in there, and they're not just like the villain or the big bad monster. They're there to help, and they're there to be partners. That was really cool for me too.
Now, do you pronounce it wyvern or wyvern?
I say wyvern. No idea if I'm wrong.
I think it's pretty interchangeable. Like I think I pronounce it wyvern, or do I? No, I think in my head I read wyvern. I don't know. I think sometimes it changes, but I don't think there's any one. I think they're both pretty interchangeable. But some people get very angry about it. They're very particular.
And there's a difference between them and dragons. And I might have been giving something away by saying, hey, there's dragons, because there will eventually be not just wyverns.
I mean, it's Dragonstone Academy.
Yeah. Like,
it's in the title of the book, really.
Kind of be. And then if you look at the covers, if you look at cover 4, if you look ahead, which don't, because read. And
I've tried not to. I really did not want to.
They're cool covers,
it's gonna give stuff away.
So, but it'll definitely give it away if you look at cover 4, because that's definitely a dragon.
Yeah. I think I glanced past cover 4, and kind of noticed it and was like, oh, not looking at that. Staying away from that one. So you wrote Dragonstone Academy because you wanted to do dragons.
And I wanted to do a card-based system because I'd read so many, and I love the card-based systems. It's so funny. I'm so backwards in the way I do stuff. Like, all the popular ones are the skill-based ones, where it's just like one skill, one card type thing, with the exception of, what is John Stovall's book that he put out with the dog on it?
Not sure which book is his.
It's Demon Card Enforcer.
Yeah.
Ooh, so good.
I have yet to read that one.
Oh, you need to listen to it. Actually, the audio was really good if you enjoy listening. Because it was done by Sound Booth Theater, I think.
Okay.
Checking to make sure I'm not lying. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, Sound Booth Theater. Okay. So they got like the sound effects and.
Yeah,
stuff.
Maybe I'll listen to that driving back down to Atlanta.
I recommend it. And he did the same. He did it. So we were actually talking during Dragon Con, and he was like talking about how he went into the more detailed end of it all, and like really went into like the strategy and the different stuff, which I glanced over a little bit to just have a happy medium in between that. And he went like full bore into it. And I think I prefer the way he did it, actually. Like, I love how, because he gets into the strategy and stuff, and you really have like the card, like he's got a whole system. I won't spoil it, but it's definitely worth the read, and check it out.
So now since I haven't read his, I'm not entirely sure, but if his has like a whole strategy to it, I'm assuming you have like a hand of cards or something like that. But
so you have like a few cards that come out, and then you do that.
But I feel like on yours, at least as far as I've gotten, it doesn't play out like that. Like, it's just one at a time.
No, so you pull a hand.
Okay.
You pull a hand. It's I forget if I did 5 or 7, but you pull a hand out of your deck, and then you get one card per rotation of time that is like a turn. So yeah. So
the main character, no, all right. So the very beginning of the book, the big bad warden, I think towards the end of that battle, it had mentioned that they were out of aura. Both him and the antagonist were out of aura. Was he also out of cards?
So there's a period. So when you've used all your cards, and it goes into this later in the books, I think. But basically, when you use all your cards, there's a period of time where your cards are kind of recharging before the deck reforms itself, and you can start pulling again. And they were both at that point to where they'd gone through their decks, which is the sign of like a big bad fight, right? Everybody gets through all the cards, and you still haven't defeated your opponent.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I thought it hinted that he had a pretty large deck of cards.
Yeah, so everybody has. I gonna dredge from the memory pool. I forget if it's like locked and you have a certain amount. I think it's 30 cards.
Okay.
Or if you can have more, and I honestly don't remember what rule I played into that. I think that most people just have decks of 30 though, is what I was going for.
Okay. I mean, even still with a deck of 30 cards, that's a pretty massive fight. I mean,
And each card is doing big stuff. Like it's not,
yeah,
so.
it was not a short battle. It was pretty impressive to read. I just felt so bad for him. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that book series is done. The last book you put out that was not part of this series, Grimoire's Shadow.
Yes.
You went completely different with that.
Yeah, I did.
That is not lit RPG. It is very like Dresden-esque.
Yeah, which is what I was going for.
Yeah.
I'll pull the cover up real quick.
What made you move like away from lit RPG for this book?
I was looking for a palate cleanser. I had just spent I only actually look. So I had just grinded my nose to the stone and got books 2, 3, and 4 of Dragonstone Academy done one after another, and I was really burnt out. But I was finished, and I had some really good months, and I was just in the flow, and everything felt good. Like I was pumping out like 7,000 to 8,000 words a day, and it wasn't hurting me. It felt great. Like I was like, I got to keep this going. And out of like, I had this idea before about like and I'd actually written, let's see, I wrote like 10,000 words or a couple chapters 2 years ago of Gabriel Gray and his story. And I just like the idea of this like supernatural cop that is like freshly out of college, living in San Francisco and having to like survive, kind of like my wife and I when we were in San Francisco and we were living there. And, you have to get like any job because you need to get money coming in, but also you're trying to go to school and you're trying to finish this and you're trying to get into your career. And I wanted to take those more mundane aspects and put them into like a kind of straightforward supernatural cop story where, he's investigating, but there's always a little bit in the next chapter or every other chapter where you're having to deal with the mundane and kind of
like getting a job at a coffee shop.
Like getting the job at a coffee shop. So it was just a palate cleanser. I was wanting something as different as possible from what I normally write.
It was, it read like that too. Like it was just a nice, it wasn't overly heavy. It wasn't, it wasn't, because some of your books are thick.
Yeah.
You write
and
some thick
it was only
books.
83,000 words. So that was pretty short for me.
Yeah, this one was a little bit shorter, and it was just like a very light read. And it was good. I liked it. Do you have plans to do more in his story?
I actually started on book 2 right after finishing book 1.
Nice.
And I got about I want to say like 20,000 words. Yeah, 20,000 words in, and then I chided myself into 22,000 words. And I was like, you need to focus and get back to you because I have contract work that I'm supposed to be finishing. Like you need to focus and get back into this. And it's funny because I did that and I said that to myself. And then I just spent 1, 2, 3, 4.5 months writing the book. I was like that I needed to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of, it was weird. It's weird because I went from being very hyper productive to where then I had 4 or 5 months of like very low productivity. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying the story or the book. It's just, it was really hard for me to get the words out. And a part of me is like, you probably should have just finished Gabriel Gray book 2 and then gone and done it because my mind was just kind of stuck there for a while.
Yeah.
So I do have plans. It's going to be an in-between books type of thing because it only took me 11 days to write the first one. And that was writing anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 words a day, just knocking it out. And then obviously there's editing and everything.
So many words.
I imagine on a normal, not super hyper productivity time, it would take me about a month to knock one out. Mm-hmm. And just get it done. So one of these months, as I look forward to my schedule, I'll squeeze book 2 in and get that finished, and then 3. And then I had plans for like 6 to 12 books to cover this kind of slow burn arc of story that's happening. Because I tried to leave some threads to show that, there's bigger stuff happening and there's bigger stuff that needs to happen without giving too much away. I hope I didn't give too much away in the first book, but we'll see.
No, I don't think you did. I think it was a good balance. So do you already know where you want that story to go? Like, do you know how you want that story to end?
So I know the ending. I don't know all the in-betweens. I can tell you a little sneak peek into book 2.
Okay.
And I just got to pull up my notes to see. So book 2 is going to deal more with the Fae and the Failings and their society. And yeah, I don't want to give too much away. It's going to be called like the Clock Tower or something like that.
Ooh, I like it.
And it's going to deal with some ancient bindings that are coming undone. The city is in danger, but at the same time, he's just got a slight promotion. We've jumped in time a little bit, and he's put on this case with his new partner that he's going to have. And so we explore a more like, because on the first one, he was new, and he was kind of given some freedom to do his small task as more like meter maid stuff.
Yeah.
And then he took it and ran with his own direction and was like, I'm going to solve this.
He did. Well, but also I think that's partially because I also don't want to give too much away because it's a really good book to read and it's worth picking up and reading. But in the kind of Warden Police Department, it seems like everything might not be above board.
Yep.
I don't know how that's going to play out. There's a little under the table stuff going on somewhere, maybe.
And it's definitely, and that'll continue. Like it's meant to be kind of like not to say, police departments are corrupt. Just it's meant to be like there's other
like
powers at work
kind of thing.
And there are some dirty cops when it comes to the warden situation. And it's not ignored, and it comes to the top. And there are consequences too, even when maybe they're not as dirty as they seem, or they just seem that way at first, but you don't know the whole story behind what they're doing. Yeah.
That's going to be good. Anything away. I like it.
Yeah. Also, the audiobook, I just got the audio files from the narrator for that one. For those that are into listening instead, it looks like it'll be about 8 hours.
Who's doing the audiobook for that one? Can you say, is that like still hush hush knowledge?
No, so it's just through me. And so it's not a secret, but it's a random that I found on ACX. I just took additions for it. Cool. His name is Craig Van Sickle. I don't know what else he's done. I looked him up a little bit, but he's kind of a new voice, and he really enjoyed it, and I like the sound of it. So we'll see how it goes.
I like that you've got somebody new. Who did Dragonstone Academy?
That was, I'll have to forget his name. It was Christian Gilliland.
I have heard
he's done stuff
that
before.
Narrator. Yeah, I've heard of him, but he also pops up on my Facebook sometimes. I've heard of him, but I don't think I've actually listened to anything that he's done. Yeah. I heard he does a pretty good job on books. So
yeah, that's what I heard too. And I looked up at the time. I think he did. Yeah, so he did something for Dakota Kraut, which was the big one that I was like, oh, that's cool. But he did other ones like First Necromancer. I mean, he's got a whole host of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking about First Necromancer at JordanCon this past weekend, and someone had mentioned that he did that audiobook. That's why his name sounds so familiar, because we were literally just talking about it over the weekend. Okay.
Jealous. Yeah, I wish I could have gone.
It was so much fun. It was great. I'm currently listening to First Necromancer. He does a pretty good job. He's doing a pretty good job in that book. So tell me, what do you have coming up? What's the next book coming out, or the next big thing that you're working on that you're super excited about?
Well, that would probably be, the name is pending because it's not up to me. I have a project I'm doing with Aethon, and currently I call it System Reset. Who knows what they're going to call it? So we'll see about that. I just finished book 1. It took me a ridiculous amount of time to do it, but I still think it turned out good. I'm trying to see. I wish I could. I don't know if I can. I probably shouldn't share the cover anyways, because I know they're going to redo the typography. Anyways, it's System Reset. It's a story about a kind of overpowered guy and his dog. It's very John Wick meets the apocalypse type story.
Okay.
And so it's meant to be slightly humorous, but not like, you're not going to read it and just be laughing out loud. It's not meant to be like, like all these jokes. Mm-hmm. It's just a little bit of humor here and there, mostly directed towards like dying goblins and other things happening.
Just to try to offset some of the violence.
Yeah, kind of offset the extreme violence that's happening. Mm-hmm. And his, I don't want to spoil anything. Let's see, what can I say about it? It's a very John Wick story, but the dog doesn't die, basically.
Good.
And the dog is there. He gets kind of super powered up. He doesn't talk, but he does have higher intelligence. And it was fun to write. And I'm looking forward starting Monday, jumping into book 2 and deciding kind of a little bit of where I know where it's supposed to end. Book 2 is probably the biggest question mark, is how I'm going to get it from here to there. So I'm going to do probably some outlining and stuff over the weekend and kind of firm things up and see if I'm ready to tackle it on Monday or if I need a little more time to kind of lay it out. But I put a nice surprise at the end that I was kind of planning on, and hopefully it'll have the readers not be too upset and be like, oh, I want to hear more about this thing that just got revealed, but also hold them off until book 2 comes around.
Right. So when you are writing a book like this for, when you have a deal like this with Aethon Publishing, do you go to them and say, hey, I have this idea for a book? Or like, how does that happen?
I think it's different for different people. I can speak to my situation and what I did. So I met them at DragonCon and kind of just talked and introduced and everything. And I mostly met Rhett. And we talked, and I told them that I was working on a series. I was kind of busy, but I had another one. And I kind of was just trying to be an author and pitching them a little bit. Just like, yeah, this idea I have, I think is pretty cool. And
yeah,
I didn't think too much of it. I was like, it was really nice. And I've, personally in Lit RPG, I'm like, I would love to work with Aethon because, they put out so many awesome books. It would be great. And so I kind of relayed that without trying to be too fanboy about it.
right. Yeah.
Like, I'd love
Hard
to
to
work
do
with
sometimes.
you guys. And so then I got home, and then like a week after, he reached out to me. And I was like, oh, okay. And we just got talking. And I told him that I was kind of busy basically for the next year with books and contracts and things, but they were still interested. And I pitched them. So I put a pitch together, sent them over just a pitch about the story and whatnot. And they came back and they said they liked it and they wanted to get things made official. So we signed some documents, and I had a deal.
That
which
is
is
pretty
really awesome.
cool. That's awesome.
And it was also super nice because they were like, and you have this much time, which was like a lot of time to do it. And I was like, oh, that takes the pressure off a little. Because like I said, I have this and this and this I need to finish. And I want to finish this before I jump over to this. And so they've been awesome to work with.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it helps that you were pretty upfront with that about how busy you were, instead of being like, yeah, not a problem, I'll get over to you as soon as I can. And then them come back and be like, all right, we've got 3 months.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, crap.
I bet that's, ooh, I do not like deadlines.
No, neither do I. I can actually speak to that a little bit and how it affects your process. Like I love that I made a deal with him, and I wouldn't go back on it or change what happened. But man, having a contract, like a deadline hanging over your head all the time, it makes it harder. Like,
do you think that can have an effect on the quality of the story? Like, you get to a certain point and you're like, oh no, I've got to get this done by this date. I need to
sure hope
hurry and
not.
rush.
So luckily I'm not rushed. I feel like I have enough time that, like, for instance, they gave me until September to finish book 1, and I'm 4 months early. And I'm still tweaking
Nice.
with some editing and stuff, but it wasn't so much that as just having the deadline there for whatever reason. It's just like this extra weight just pushing down on you. And it's like, and I hope it doesn't affect the quality. And it definitely felt like maybe it lowered my word count. And it was also mixed in with me burning myself out a little bit by having a few months of like hyper productivity coming off of another contract and projects. And then I'm like, now let me jump into this. And it's like,
not taking any time off in between.
Yeah. And it's hard because, when you're doing it to provide for your family, people say like, take time off. I'm like, I'd love to, but I also need to get things finished.
Right. Like, I also have bills
And if
to
I
pay.
take too much time off, these bills aren't paying themselves. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of crappy part about it. Like, I wish I could just not worry about any of that and just write. I feel like the quality is coming out about the same as what it would be, though. I think it just slows me down a little bit because I gotta think through it a little more. I gotta be a little more deliberate.
And with the deadline not being until September, though, I mean, I don't know how long it takes to write a book because I don't write books. But I mean, that seems like, even if you're just now finishing book 1, that's still so much time. Like,
Yeah,
you weren't
book 2
having
will
to
be
sit here
finished
and
before
say,
the deadline for
oh my
book 1.
gosh, like, Oh my God, I'm only a third of the way through the book and it's due in 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I think the biggest issue comes with my own personal scheduling. So I schedule everything out, and I put in, like, I have a spreadsheet that tells me that not only am I tracking every day, I'm predicting what I'll do in the future so I can have an idea of when things will be done. And that's where we ran into some issues. Is I expected this to be done at the end of March,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't get finished until the, like, right now, beginning of May. Actually, maybe before. I think I was shooting for middle to end of March. And so I shot over the thing by about a month, which then pushes everything else back. And then I expected, to be finished in this time. So then I would do this, and this would be, then I could start this, and then this would come in, and then the advances would come in for those and that and this. And so when that doesn't happen, I got to scramble and redo everything and try to figure out how everything is going to fit. And that was the biggest issue. I think it wasn't really their deadline, because they're so good. And I'm sure even if I needed more time, I'm pretty confident that they would have been like, oh yeah, that's fine. Take more time. I don't want to do that to them because they gave me so much time to start with. But no, I think now that things are going better, I think if I go into book 2 with fresh eyes, I should have book 2 and book 3 finished middle of September, right around the time they probably expected book 1 to be finished.
Holy cow.
Which would be good.
So, I mean, you're ahead of the game, really. Like,
yeah. When you
pretty
just
good.
look at their deadlines, I'm way ahead of the game. If you look at the self-imposed deadlines that I put on myself, then I'm
right,
like,
right.
oh, crap.
I mean, your self-imposed deadlines are important, but
Yeah,
they're
they gotta
not
be
the
flexible.
standard by with
Yeah,
which,
and they're not the people writing the checks. It's
right.
like,
That's funny. So you've got another series that you have released the first 2 books on, and I think I had read on your website that you were wanting to start book 3, and I cannot recall the name of it now. I think it was like
is
Crystal
it
Mountain.
Journey to Crystal Mountain? Yeah, so
Yes, that.
that's my lit RPG attempt at doing a middle grade story.
So like a YA.
Kind of YA, but maybe a little bit lower than that. You get like the 10 to 12-year-old range. Your early readers. I kept it very simple, straightforward. Book 3 is actually finished. It's just my wife works now, and so she does my editing. So it takes a little longer, and we've got higher priority stuff. So she still hasn't gotten to it, but I've been poking her because she does the covers for it too. And I was like, I need a cover and an edit. Like, it's only 20,000 words. Like, come on, let's do it.
So what is that story about?
So this story is about a group of students. It starts off, and Mr. Shadow, the substitute teacher, gets one of the main characters in trouble, a rambunctious boy. So Zach is trying to be the class clown. So he makes a joke at Mr. Shadow's expense. And of course, Mr. Shadow is a little more than he seems, sends them to detention, and he happens to be the teacher at detention. And then they get whisked away to a magical island with dinosaurs and magic. And each of them are given a bracelet, like a bracer on their arm, and it gives them specific magic that they can use. Like one, for instance, has an inventory system. Another one has the ability to create things Minecraft style. Another one can tame different creatures. And then another one uses projected light. And so they have to learn to work together to overcome the challenges that they're facing, which is like the threat of dinosaurs and the T-Rex and different things happening. And then there's a mystery overlapping the 3 books that happens where they have to try to figure out, how do we get out of this island? How do we get back home? And it ends with them
kind of
finishing
stuck at the moment. They're stuck there.
Yeah, so they've been thrown there against their will, and they have to find their way back. And that's what the 3 books cover.
What made you decide to do a younger?
I have lots of nieces and nephews. I have kids of my own as well that are kind of getting to that age, and I just wanted something that, because you can name off some of the cleaner lit RPGs and be like, oh, you can read that. But sometimes it's nice to have something that's a little easier to digest, a little shorter, because each of them are only 20,000 words. So it's something you can sit down. If you were an adult, you could sit down and knock it out in an afternoon and be fine.
Yeah.
Whereas the kids, it's going to take them a little while, but still.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the books in the lit RPG genre that are, even the ones that are geared towards YA or a little bit skew younger, are still... I wouldn't say they're super great for young, like 10, 12.
Yeah, right.
They're still a little borderline. They got some adult jokes,
right,
that might fly over the radar for younger kids, but they're still in there.
Yeah, so I tried to avoid a lot of that, and I tried to simplify my writing as much as I could as well, without being, without going to the point of being like patronizing,
Right.
and be like, I talk simple for you, but
Right.
kind of an in between. And I think I nailed it for that. Once I get the third book out, I'm going to have another cover done and combine them into an omnibus and try to push that a little bit more and actually
Nice.
market it in the groups, because I haven't really said much about it. If you've heard about it, it's because you've read my other stuff and you happen to notice that there's something else that's there.
I do a lot of research before I do
Yeah,
before I do an episode.
yeah, so it's the same with like fans. When you find something that they like, they'll poke around a bit and they'll see it and they're like, oh, okay, that's
Mhm.
cool. But it's geared towards kids, so it's not always like something that you're gonna want to jump in and read. But yeah, it was really fun to write. I can knock out a book like that in a week or less. So it was really fun. It was kind of fun to play with
Nice.
the more simple themes of stuff too, while also leaning into like the friendship and working together kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I can't imagine having to write a lit RPG or a gamelit book and really having to come up with the entire system and the stats, and all of that can sometimes just get so heavy.
Yeah.
I'm sure this just keeps it nice and light. I mean, it has to if it's for younger readers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just get completely lost. I get completely lost as an adult sometimes
I
reading
tried to
them, and I'm
keep it
just like,
almost Minecrafty kind of
mhm,
skills, where it's very simple and straightforward. There was still leveling.
right,
So it's lit RPG, they're leveling their skills and stuff.
mhm.
But it's straightforward, and it's very much like you use it a few times, you get a level. You use it in a new way, you get a level. Like,
I like it. I
so
like it. And so you have several completed series and then some that are not.
yeah.
You've got Eldritch Knight.
So these are the series it has listed for me: the Nethergate Wardens, which is the Dragonstone Academy; Path of the Titans, which is complete but also not. I'm going to add a couple books because I feel like it got a really good reception, and there is more that I wanted to explore. This was actually meant to be my 12-book series that I wanted to go like
Holy cow.
super crazy into, and I have notes for every 3-book series that was going to cover different aspects of the Titans that
Mhm.
are being awakened, or you're feeling the effects of them. I don't know if I'll go that far, but there was a kind of a finishing arc that I wanted to do, and I'll probably explore that and maybe do a slight time jump. But getting off topic, then I have Lastborn of Kadarth, which is my reincarnation series. There's obviously Arcane Knight, 6-book series, and that's finished. Haven Chronicles, which is 2 books and it's not finished. It's going to be finished at either 3 or 4 books. It's an important series for my overarching universe, for the books that are included in that, which I need to make an infographic on, because people ask me like reading order or which books are part of the series or part of the universe. And it's like, well, not all
Mhm.
of them. And
Yeah.
then I have Elemental Realms, which is a 3-book series as well.
Yeah, so that's actually what I wanted to mention, is that so you've got some of these series that you've written. They all take place in the same universe, but at different times.
Yep. Different
So none of them
times
are happening at the same time.
and different parts of the cosmos, the world. You're not always in the same part of the universe.
So it's even that big.
It's
Interesting.
I would say it's all within maybe a cluster of it's in. You're not leaving the galaxy after you initially. Well, once you initially leave Earth, you're going into a galaxy where it's kind of all together,
Mhm.
but it spans the universe, and it really can, because of how the magic system is set up. Because I set up a magic system that has rules that I know and I have to follow, and all my magic systems that are slightly different within that system have to follow those core rules if they're going to work right. And you get a little bit of that if you've read my reincarnation series, the Lastborn of Kadarth. I don't know if you have. But
That one I have not.
so in that one, he ends up going somewhere different, and he sees his stat sheet and everything begins to change as it orients to this different location within
Mhm.
how the magic systems work, which is really cool. And it's got a lot of lore from my universe, so it's definitely one to check out eventually. It looks kind of
Nice.
sci-fi, but it's very much fantasy sci-fi. It's got a touch of sci-fi because it's aliens and different worlds, but it's very much heavy like fantasy.
And do you think at some point, like they'll all or some of them will intersect, or there will be
So they
any
already
overlap?
have. So there is overlap.
You can. I've not read enough of them.
So the biggest overlap you'd notice if you've listened or you've read Arcane Knight, okay, and you've read Path of the Titans. So you know that Marcus or however you say it, he's obviously showing up in both of these books
Right.
as a character who is kind of pulling threads. What you don't know, because you haven't read The Lastborn of Kadarth, is that Atex, the jolly, heroic fellow he is actually one of the main characters from that book series.
Okay.
And he is on a mission.
He was in Path of the Titans.
Yep, and he was in Path of the Titans. So he jumped over, and so there's a little playback there. But
I like
the plan is, so there's going to be more crossovers as I kind of finish a few things. I'm not sure that I'm putting out any more book series that are in the universe. I've done what I've done, and I'm focusing on finishing. So Haven Chronicles, the Eldritch Knight series, is the kind of the base of the conflict and where the conflict will eventually end as well.
Okay.
So without saying too much, like I don't think you've read Eldritch Knight, have you? Or did you?
I read the first one.
Oh,
Yeah, I've read
did.
the first one.
Yeah. So book 2 audio for that is also coming out. I just sent back all the corrections to him, and it turned out pretty good. So
Nice.
and it was good. Everyone that's read it and listened to it has said that it's better than book 1. Which, I mean, it was my first book versus my like 20th something book. I was like, I'm glad you're saying that, but at the same time, I hope that book 1 holds up a little.
It's still wild to me that you've written that many books. That's a lot. That's so many books.
I have a plan for the universe, and I have a capping series that I'm going to do that takes all your favorite protagonists that have survived and brings them into one huge story and just finishes off the main conflict. The one that I've been building throughout all these series and hinting at.
Yeah, well, that implies that some of my favorites won't survive.
Some people don't make it, but
Great.
I think some of the fan favorites are definitely going to be there.
Good. Yeah, I would be excited at some point to have like a reading order in timeline or
I need to do an
series.
Infographic saying what order to read it. And there's like certain ones, so how I wrote it this was planned, is you can basically read in any order and you're not going to miss out on anything. Like you'll get the information. However, if you fail to read certain ones like A Lastborn of Kadarth or Reincarnation, because it doesn't look like it's going to be your story, you will miss out on chunks of information that are going to be useful when you get to the end. But at the same time, I'm not going to make it. I want to write it in a way that you're not hindered by having not read. Maybe you choose not to read one of them, right? You're still going to get enough information that you are knowing enough of the characters that you're going to be like, oh, okay. Like, I get what's going on. This is cool.
Okay. Nice. So you might miss out on just a little bit, but not enough to ruin the story or not understand.
I will say that Lastborn of Kadarth is one that I urge people to listen to or read because there is a lot of lore that comes through in the last couple books on that one. Like, it starts off kind of light, and then it gets a little heavy, and you get information that you're going to be like, having read Path of the Titans already, you'll be like, oh, that's interesting. Like, this person is being mentioned and this person is here now. Yeah.
Interesting. So, I actually want to reread. I want to go back and reread Path of the Titans. I enjoyed it.
Well, if you wait long enough, book 4 and 5, I was actually going over my schedule today. So I will this is funny. So I'll either write it in 2026, way through the year, or I won't get to it until 2028.
So long.
That's
quite a ways.
And that's me trying to kind of rein in my writing, because I am trying to, I want to keep it going and I want to be consistent. I don't want to stop. But at the same time, I'm going to be taking a step back into the workforce and trying to earn a little more money while also trying to get back into programming. And I'm going to be going back to school to get my master's, actually.
That's a pretty hefty plate you've got there.
So things are going to get a little more tight time-wise. Luckily, I do a lot of my writing very early in the morning. I wake up at 4:35 and I knock it out while my brain is still fresh and all my other responsibilities don't matter yet. And so by the time I'm finished, then it's 7:38 and I can go and worry about work and school and things. But because of that, I'm only estimating that I'll be getting about 6 books done a year, as opposed to getting, like, in 2024, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books. So the number is going to go down, but I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to keep it consistent. I think I can still get a book out every 2 months or so. I do have a secret project that I'm hoping to work on. I just don't know if I'll be in the right headspace to do it, and I don't want to do it a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much I should say about it because it's still kind of on the ropes and whatnot. But
secret project is secret, so
it's my first attempt at working with someone else while writing. Is what I'll say.
Like co-authoring.
So I'm co-authoring would be with somebody else who. It's very exciting. I just don't want to spoil anything because I'm like, if it doesn't end up happening as soon as whatever, and then it's like, oh, it's 3 years later. Where's that, co-authoring?
Yeah. I've always wondered how co-authoring a book would go and what the biggest hurdles for something like that would be. I would imagine you would have to find someone that is very in sync with how you write.
So it's actually a narrator that I'm working with, which is kind of cool. And
nice.
Yeah.
I think I heard about this. I think I heard little snippets of this at Dragon Con. I think there were
talking.
Little tiny conversations at Dragon Con, but it was still very like, I don't know more than what you just said.
Yeah.
You still kept it very hush-hush at Dragon Con too.
Yeah. And we'll probably talk about it more and people over here at Lit RPG Con. But I'm very excited to I was actually, if I wanted to take a break and do the first book before I did System Reset, but I'm trying to be responsible both financially and, to honor the contracts that I have. So I was like, no, I need to start this first. And the good thing I did because it took me a while. But yeah, that project, if it happens, will be really awesome. It's an interesting kind of dynamic working with somebody else because there's kind of expectation there. And, you almost want to second guess yourself a little bit because it's like, oh. And I'm going to be doing the majority of the writing, but he's going to be doing like a lot of the interludes and specific chapters with specific characters, but still a lot of the heavy lifting is on me. And so I'm kind of like, oh. But then because he's a narrator, it's going to sound amazing and it's going to be done awesome. Which is another reason why I want to at least get book 1 finished next year, if nothing else.
Well, I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Will be so awesome if we can get it done.
You have time and can get it worked out with your co-author narrator. And that's pretty exciting.
And I wish
you've so much like in the works, and you're just like everywhere. Your little your fingers are just in everything, and it's impressive.
I have the books planned up until 2028 that I need to write. And I look at the ones in 2028 and I'm like, oh, can I move these forward? I want to get to these a little sooner.
I just want to write them now.
Like, for instance, there's a book called Fall of Haldred that I want to write really, really, really bad. Like, if I could just stop right now and start writing it, I would. Like, I've written like 70,000 words in it, but it's going to be like a 3,000 word epic, a standalone book, my first and probably only standalone, where you'll get a full story. But it's because the book is long enough that it might as well be a trilogy. But it's a concept I've been working on for years, and I have so many notes and things, and I want to get it done. I even have a cover. I just haven't been able to get to it because I know it's not lit RPG. It's it's more of a darker fantasy sword and sorcery.
Ooh, okay.
And I think the idea is awesome. And it's great. And it's kind of, you got this overpowered character who is overpowered, but hit only to the specific enemy that they are like fighting. And a lot of his issues and things come with the social dynamic where he's very good at fighting and doing this, but he's not good at navigating situations with people. And so it's really fun. And I wish I could spend more time.
Do you think that you will have a hard time? Like you've written a small part of it already. Do you think it will be difficult to go back and pick it up and continue that momentum when you get around to being time to finish it? Or do you think you will have maybe lost some of the story or?
So this is actually an interesting point. So I very much so, I will and this has to do with my ADHD. I'll get an idea and I'll just start running with it, and I'll get several chapters out, and then I'll have to step back because I have responsibilities and I have to be firm. Otherwise, I'll just be everywhere all the time, which medication helps with. But at the same time, I still do it. I'm always doing little. And so Arcane Knight was an instance of that. It came out in 2022, but in 2020, when I was taking a break, is when I wrote the first like 50,000 words for that story. And it was supposed to be a short story. Turns out it was like, it's 1 million words now total. And it was meant to be a short story.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to write this short story and it's going to be great. It's going to be like very, very basic lit RPG, like straightforward. And it ended up becoming this like behemoth of an idea because it kept growing. And I'm like, well, this has to happen and this is going to happen. And this is how this is going to tie into this. And then it was just like, oh crap, I have to stop. So I stopped and worked on finishing Lastborn of Kadarth instead. And then the same thing. So like Path of the Titans, around the same time, like maybe a month apart, I started on that and I wrote a 50,000 word chunk. And so what I'm getting at is that actually helps me a lot because I can read that and it gets me back into the mind space of it. And then I'm able to do my best. I always feel like coming back to it, like I would have done better if I had just finished it at the time because I have that inspiration and it was when it was its most like raw. But I feel like I did all right with Arcane Knight and Path of the Titans, kind of carrying the same feeling through.
Yeah.
So it's possible. It can make it difficult, but I find that having something to read and to look at, it kind of sets me up for success coming back to it. I
also imagine it might give you time to come up with maybe different ideas, or I mean, like you said, with the other one, it was only supposed to be a short story and then it just kind of snowballed. So who knows, maybe if you had just stuck with it right there,
it might not have been the same beast. Yeah. I still remember so I went back to, this is kind of random and off topic, but I went back to Arcane Knight after I had the whole thing in the hospital stay with my arm, and I hadn't written anything. Well, that's not true. I finished book 3 of Lastborn of Kadarth, but I was itching to start Arcane Knight. I literally would write in the morning and do my Lastborn of Kadarth book 3, and then I would jump over to Arcane Knight and I would just start editing what was already there and like adding sentences, adding a chapter here, like, oh, we need to explore this a little more, and like throwing it in there. I had such an exciting time, and I think a lot of that had to do with being able to take a good amount of a break before and then jumping into it. And it ended up being 180,000 words. But to me, it was one of the shortest writing experiences because it was just, I was so involved and I loved every word of it. I was just like, this is great. Moral of the story is I should probably take more breaks. Eventually I'll be able to. Just not right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got too much going on. But at some point, take all the breaks. Just all of them. Take all of them.
Plus, I have so much I need to get done. And it's just like, I want to get the stories done. And then and it's a bummer because at this rate, I won't get to I call it the Haven Wars, is the series that's going to cap off my universe, is the working title, at least. I won't be getting that until like 2029 or 2030, which feels like forever away.
It does feel like forever. But 6 months is going to go by and it's going to be 2030. Right. And then we're going to be like, shit. Where did the time go? That's how it's going to go. But it does. Like, you have so much planned out now. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be there. So the next couple of years, if you're a fan of my writing, there's going to be plenty of good stuff coming.
Good.
So
I look forward to reading it.
I also have a series that I'm going to be writing under a pen name.
You're doing a pen name book. Is this also going to be in the lit RPG genre, or is this going to be something else?
So it's lit RPG harem.
Nice. Okay.
It's not something. So it's not something I've dipped my toes into before. But I had an idea that was just so good, and it involved having the harem aspect to it. So I'm going to give it my best shot. There's a good chance I'm not going to be able to finish it because I don't know if I can do how well I'll be able to do the spicy stuff, and that's a big part of it. So we'll see. I probably won't ever mention what that pen name is.
I was going to ask all right. So why? So I'm assuming that you're choosing to use a pen name because you don't want it to be associated with your current body
I don't want to mix, because an expectation of what I write. I don't want people to be like, oh, let me pick up the next Timothy McGowan book. And it's like, holy
And then be a
moly.
harem.
Yeah, it's just, which is a shame because it's such a good lit RPG story right now. Like I haven't gotten to the harem aspects and I'm like 20,000 words in, which might be a problem because people, they want their things happening
A
at some
slow
point.
burn.
Just like
Slow burn can be good.
is very much what I'm writing.
Slow burn can be good. I've read a couple different, I've two or three different series in the harem genre, and one of them, the first one I read, I did not like at all. And I almost never picked up another harem book, and I was like, I can't do this. This was just can't. This is not for me. And then Richie and Joel from Chat and Stats, shout out to them. They were gonna do an interview with another harem author, and they were like, you just give it a shot, just try it. This one's really, really good. And so I did, and I'm like, okay, I don't hate harem. I actually really enjoyed it. So if you do write it, I'm gonna want to read it.
Maybe I'll tell you in secret and swear you to silence.
I'll keep your pen name identity a secret. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah. So it's but and I don't know. I'm so torn. I go back and forth. Like I want to do it just to, experience, see what I can stretch myself as and do and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like a really well-rounded, cool universe that I've created so far that I'm like, oh, man, I wish I could almost, but then it breaks a lot of what would work for like, it's going to be a good story.
That's the beauty of the pen name.
I'm excited to get the story out to people, and hopefully I do the smutty parts well too. We'll see.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like really like hardcore graphic smutty. It can be like light and mild.
It's not going to be fade to black, but it like there'll be the smut, but it's definitely not going to be what some of the ones that I've read, for instance, are just like, oh.
Yeah, they can get.
We're going there.
They can get intense. Yeah, they can get intense. But one of my favorites was Magic's Mantle by Bruce Centaur. I don't know if you've read that one.
It sounds super familiar.
It was really, really good. It was harem, but it wasn't overly graphic, and the harem aspect of the book was used to propel the story forward. It wasn't the main focus.
Okay.
So it's just really, really well done.
Need to save this one, but. Need to check that out because I definitely need to immerse myself a little more into it because I've read my fair share of harem stuff, but not nearly as much as I probably should when trying to.
Yeah, that one is. I've read the first 3. I think there might be 4 out at this point. But I listened. I did the audiobook because they're narrated by Jessica Threet, who I absolutely love.
Ooh,
yeah, and her and Christopher Boucher. And they did a fantastic job on it. And I listened to the first book and was like, I immediately need to listen to the second one now. And then as soon as I was done with the book 2, I was like, I have to listen to book 3 now. And I just back to back just inhaled them. They were so good. They did such a good job on them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check them out for sure then.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's one harem series I can recommend, it's that one.
Good. I will read that then. I'll probably listen to it.
You can just keep it mildly smutty.
The idea behind the main harem mechanic is like skill sharing. The more relationship and the deeper his relationship, not sexually, but just emotionally as well. The deeper their relationship and bond goes, the more skills they can share between themselves. So they grow as a party, and the closer they are together, the more they can rely on each other and use each other's skills to get through the challenges that they're going to face, which is
definitely check out Magic's Mantle then, because that is
it similar?
It is a little bit, yeah. So it does have a little bit of that, like, I don't think they share each other's powers, but like they can kind of help feed each other's powers. So it kind of runs along a similar vein, but it's not exactly like that. Okay. It was done really well.
Cool. Yeah, no,
that's exciting.
I have saved it in my folder of harem.
So good.
That I keep on
okay, so enough about the harem. I could talk about that for probably way too long. What was your introduction to lit RPG? Like, how did you find this genre?
Oh man, so I was a security guard back in 2017, 18 or something, and I was looking. So I was doing graveyard, and I was trying to find books to read while I did it on my phone, so I could listen. But I was mostly reading at that time. And I found it was Dungeon Slime or something, which was actually like a Dungeon Core type book. And Slime Dungeon, or I don't know. Let me look it up real quick. Anywho, I found this book that was okay, but after the first book kind of really went down in quality. And so I ended up picking up The Divine Dungeon by Dakota Kraut.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started reading that, and it wasn't, it's not quite lit RPG, but it's lit RPG adjacent. And so as I started reading that, I went and found like groups where people were talking about it, but they were also talking about lit RPG. And then I was like, oh, lit RPG, cool. So then, of course, the next book I read was The Land, which I was like,
The
oh,
Aileron Kong.
this is awesome. Like, this is really cool. I like this stat stuff. And then from there, it just kind of blossomed into basically any lit RPG I could get my hands on at the time, which was a lot of the early classics.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm bad at remembering the names of. What was I gonna look at? Oh, yeah.
Seems to be the theme of the lit RPG genre and the readers in it. It's like we find that book that introduces us to the genre, and then it just takes over our lives. Like there's just
like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and then it's nonstop. Like we just consume it like it's air.
Yeah, and it was just so, and it was a mixture of like being kind of light reading where it's not, it's not super intellectual or anything crazy. And the prose is straightforward and it's there for you to enjoy, not to patronize you and, be over your head. So it's just like really easy to consume. And so I just started reading everything I could get my hands on, but it kind of kicked off my, my desire to write again. Like I'd always said that I wanted to be a writer. And then I started reading some of the stuff and I was like, you know what? Like if they can do it, maybe I can do it. So I was like, well, let me give it a try. And the first story I wrote was actually meant to be a lit RPG, but it didn't quite get to the stats or anything because as I built it out, I ended up building more and more. And I was very heavy. I spent probably 4 years writing Eldritch Knight, and 2 of those were just world building. And that world building has kind of carried me through all these other series because it kind of laid the groundwork for it, which was nice. But it really set me on my path of writing. Without discovering lit RPG, I probably don't know if I would have ever taken the step. And if I did, it would have been in a different direction. I would have focused more on just pure fantasy.
Yeah, that's nuts. Well, I'm glad you found lit RPG.
Me too. It wasn't. So my story, like, not to beat a dead horse or anything, but so my journey into writing wasn't really easy either. So I put out my first book and it did okay, but okay as like a fantasy, not, it didn't do anything groundbreaking. So then my next book was a lit RPG and like a actual lit RPG, but it was shorter. I put it out and it totally tanked. Like I put it out in 2020 and then I took it down after 4 months because I was like, well, crap, like it didn't do good. And it's not like, and I knew the story was worth telling and it just, either the execution or something about it just wasn't there. And so I sat on the idea for like a year and a half before I circled back to it. And I rewrote it completely from scratch, changed the main character, changed a few other things and put it back out. And it did well enough that I realized that I could do it full time if I really wanted to.
Which book was that?
That was Last Born of Kedarth, the reincarnation book.
Okay.
I actually have a copy of the original. It's the same cover, different typography, but it's like much thinner and it's a different story. For those that have a copy of that, it's a rare find because you can't get it anymore.
It's a rare thing now. What? Okay. So you wrote 2 books and
technically 3. So I wrote a novella as well called Dead Man's Bounty, which is also down now more because I wanted to rewrite and do it. But it was a very grim, dark zombie detective, a fantasy Victorian era, which I could send you a copy. I think I have some still around here.
I went through this phase at one point when I first got my Kindle, and I hate using my Kindle. I absolutely hate it so much. But when I first got it, I was trying to find all the free books that I could. And there is like a massive amount of like post-apocalyptic zombie books that are just for free. And so I was reading like as many as I could get my hands on, and they were all fairly good. Some of them were not great, but yeah, I was trying to get my hands on as many zombie novels at the time as I could. Gosh, that was probably 2015. There were so many.
I wonder if I still have it in my Kindle library. I need to find a physical copy and I'll send it over to you. It's just a novella. It's like a sit down and read in an afternoon type of thing.
I would 100% read it.
But
I love a good zombie story.
it's also on audio too, and the audio is done pretty good. I think that's still listed. Let me check. And it should be, I can actually give you a free code if you wanted to listen to it too, because I have lots of those because I didn't use them. Yeah, it's still up here with the first cover instead of the alternate cover. Yeah, remind me. I'll totally send you one.
Yeah. Yeah, I will happily listen to it. It was a very like intense, just read as many zombie stories as I could. And I don't even know why. There wasn't even anything like about that particular time, or I don't know. It was just, I very much was just like, oh, it's a zombie story. I'm in. I give like, I want it. I want it. It's all I was reading at the time.
Nice.
I was like obsessed with zombie stories. It's weird. Phases.
Yeah,
I just go through those weird
I mean,
phases.
as a reader, like that's pretty normal. You go through
Yeah.
different things that are what you want to be hearing at the time. So yeah, check that out. It's kind of a main character who is basically a zombie, but doesn't like that he is and doesn't want to be how he is, but deals with it anyways. And he's part of a force that goes around and collects artifacts because the government says they don't exist. And yet there's a branch of the government that works to eliminate them and dispose of anybody and anything that is magic related.
When I drive to Atlanta tomorrow, I'm gonna start it.
And it won't take you
what I'm
long.
gonna
It's
listen
only
to, yeah.
let me see. It's a 2 hours and 12 minutes. So
Really?
yeah, it's
It is
a
a short
novella.
little story.
Yep. And I have plans, and the reason I took it down off of Kindle is because I was actually going to rewrite book 1 completely as well as go into book 2. But then again, everything.
It'll be like 2035.
Yeah. What's actually will probably happen is it'll get squeezed in between one of these projects, which is where novellas and short stories and books short like Gabriel Gray kind of work, because
It'll be your little palate cleanser.
Exactly. That's what it'll
Nice. Where can everyone find you? And I'm gonna have links to your Amazon page, your website, and things like that in the description of the episode. But where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Facebook, just searching like the author page, Timothy McGowan. You can find me on my website if you want to purchase books directly from me. That's the easiest way. Just go to authortimothymcgowan.com and it'll redirect you to the page to get that. And that's the best way to support an author, is just buy them directly. Where else am I? I'm on other social medias. I also have a Discord where I update occasionally with little stuff, so you'll know when books finish and you get sneak peeks at covers. I also have a Patreon, but I am a horrible Patreon person, and I apologize to those that are paying me money. Because not only have I not been putting up chapters of my latest book because it's a contract book and I didn't really know where it landed with that, I also don't give many updates, and I'm sorry, and I will do better for those that for some reason still have not canceled and continue to pay me their money.
Listen, we're a diehard fan base, and when we support our authors, we do it for a very long time. I have 2 authors that I subscribe to on Patreon. One is Matt Dinneman, and I think I give him, I don't know, like $1 or $3 a month. And then I have SL Rowland. But usually
Nice guy.
I'll do an author for like 8 months to 12 months, and then I'll drop it down to like the lowest tier for like, a couple dollars a month, and then I'll do another author for like 8 to 12 months, and then I'll drop that down. I kind of like to switch it up a little bit and try to support as many authors as I can.
I think I have Jonathan Brooks, Sean Oswald, and then maybe a few other smaller ones. I mean, smaller, they're big, but yeah, I'm not good at Patreon though. I need to be better. There was a time where I was consistently putting up stuff as I wrote it, and so you'd get the raw version of stuff, and you could get it months before it came out, which I want to do again. But again, I didn't want to really do that with the contract books, and I've been working on contract books for almost, the last 8 months now.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure the people who are our patrons on your Patreon, they probably understand that. Like, it's not something you're self-publishing.
I should still give them an update, though. Like, hello, everybody. Just so you know.
Yeah. I didn't forget about you guys, I promise.
Right? Thank you for still being here. But also, why are you still here?
I appreciate it, but I don't understand it.
Right.
All right, Tim, thank you so much for being on. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out and chatting with us. If you have any questions, guys, everyone is welcome to comment on YouTube. You can find me on all of the major podcast platforms. Don't forget to subscribe. You can also go to my website and send me any email. Yeah, and that's it. Until next time, keep leveling up.